Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. You can see I'm here at my local dive bar working hard on getting all these commissions done for Christmas. That's the reason why I'm not working on John's today because of when I do my video on Saturday, I will be doing the uh, Boaz and Devil's Printer. I'll be working on that again, but for today, because it's Thanksgiving, I thought I'd work on this. So you can see this is a dog commission. Got two cute little dogs that I'm working on. And right now I'm just working on getting this screen of dots put down. And so, well, it was originally it was just going to be along the bottom. I was going to have the dots and then the harsh shadow, almost like an outdoor shadow, if you will. But as I got working on this bottom part, I realized that because of the hair on this little guy here being so white along the edge, I needed to take this tone and I needed to bring it around and up so that way when I get him inked, he'll pop. So you can see right here where these long tufts are coming out, I already have stippled it in so that way he is already popping out. So uh, that's that's the reason why I'm taking this, basically creating a zip screen with the dots and bringing it all the way up. I'm going to have it up and then I'm going to slowly fade it so this corner will be white. So, uh, so that's the reason. So just letting you know, like, why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, and this is a very this job was commissioned to me by an interior designer for her mother. And this is one of those where it's like, wow. And so I've been like in the preliminary stages, talking to her a great deal, primarily because I want to make certain that because if she's an interior designer, she understands why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to make sure I get the okay from her, and she can already envision why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's much easier having someone like her to communicate with about why I'm doing what I'm doing for this commission. So, but no, so I'm doing these cute little doggies. So, and I'm juggling different pieces. I've got this piece I'm working on right now. I've got a portrait of two sons and their mother, which is in the pencil stages now, and then I also have another piece. I can't really say much about it other than that uh, it's fictional, fantasy based, but it's for two people that have commissioned a lot of work for me, and so it's a piece for their son. So, but so I know a lot of you guys are going like, well, Vaughn, why are you in your dive bar working when it's Thanksgiving? Shouldn't you be uh, with friends and family enjoying the holiday? And here's the thing, guys. Um, I've never been a fan of Thanksgiving. As a child, first of all, okay, complete upfront, okay, I don't like turkey. I don't like turkey. I don't like all the. I don't like any of those any of the dinner foods that come along that are associated with Thanksgiving, like the green bean casserole and the sweet potatoes with marshmallows, and just never have as a kid. Plus, also as a kid, I never cared for the holiday because other than getting cereal in the morning, you didn't get anything else to eat for the day until dinner time, and it was turkey. So I've just never been a fan. And I understand like Thanksgiving's, it's not just about the food; it's about the being together and all. Well, again, also is when I became adult, I was working a good portion of my career of my life in retail, and in retail, Thanksgiving's a bullshit holiday. Why? Because everybody has to work Wednesday night to get the store prepared and ready. And then you go home. And lots of times you go home, you're getting home at like 3:30 in the morning. And then you get the day off. And then you have to be at work. A lot of times butt crack down like 4 or 5 in the morning for everybody. And you see the worst of humanity with Black Friday shoppers. They're the worst people in the world, and so there was nothing thankful to be for it. And then of course on top of that, this is nothing against my family. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. But here, like was in, I live in central Pennsylvania. My family all goes to South Jersey for the holiday. It doesn't make any sense for me, even when I was younger, to drive down in the middle of the night with a whole bunch of drunks on the road at like 3:34 in the morning to get there just when the sun's rising, try to get a nap in, eat something, then come home in the middle of the night to then be at work the next day. Just didn't make sense. So I've always been by myself uh, for Thanksgiving. So where I really started, like, where Thanksgiving started, I guess you could say started to mean something to me was, believe it or not, when I started coming to this bar. Because why? Because I came, I I can come in here, I get to work on my stuff, and I'm happy. I mean, I've got my own little booth, my own little world here that I work out of, and I'm happy. And I don't have to deal with any turkey. So, so that's what I'm thankful for. On top of what I'm thankful for, you know what I'm thankful for, guys? I'm thankful for all the creators that have entertained me throughout my life. And so I am very thankful for having the opportunity to meet so many of them and get them to sign my comic books. And that's so that I have such an extensive collection of signed books. So let's go through here. We've got week 48, day 319 through 325. And we started off with Wonder Woman 329. This is essentially when they were closing out the Wonder Woman comic. It happened. Remember how Wonder Woman was killed during the crisis there were Infinite Earths in the very last issue? Well, they had to come up with an ending, so they kind of used Wonder Woman of Earth 2 as gave her the conclusion. She kind of was elevated to the status of a goddess, and she lived happily ever after with Steve. This cover was done by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. And here's the thing: if you ever see the penciled version of this cover in the wild, if you ever go see someone at a show or at somebody's house or online, the images that you see are not the same as this cover. Jose had to turn it in because of a deadline. Jose didn't care for how it looked. So when he got the book, when he got the artwork back, he finished the artwork before he sold it. So if you ever see any images of this cover in black and white, the original artwork, if you compare it to this uh, cover, to this issue, you'll see that it's not the same. So just a little bit of a comic book lore trivia for you. That Jose wasn't happy with it, so he finished it after he got the artwork back. So, and then from there we go to day 320, Wonder Woman Annual #1. This was after they relaunched it with George Perez doing it, and this was Annual #1, and I have it also signed by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. He did remember how they did a bunch of short stories in this annual? What it was Wonder Woman was taking a, uh, I guess she was being the ambassador of Paradise Island and bringing a whole bunch of women to Paradise Island to show them how the women of Thermesia, I think it's called, how they live and how they've progressed. Woman power and strength the strength of them without any men. Remember, this was done during the era when it made sense and was common sense instead of being ham-fisted down your throat with "I don't need no man" type stuff. And Jose did the story telling about the Air Force pilot, or about the one Amazon woman warrior who I guess it's the gates of hell are on the island, and the women have to protect it and keep it guarded. And here, the gates were going to be unleashed, and the one woman had to stop it from being unleashed, and she's like holding it back. And the only way they could uh, succeed was to collapse the tunnel on top of her, and she ordered them to collapse the tunnel on top of her to keep the evil out. And so I know, like someone like Marcus, yes, Marcus, I'm counting on you, sir. He's going to look up this and he's going to tell you in the comments what actually happened with that issue. So, or in that story that Jose did. So, but I mean, it was Jose. It's beautiful artwork. So, if you ever get a chance to see this story, it's great artwork. It's even got a segment, a small story uh, by Art Adams. Has Kurt Swan in it, Brian Boland. I mean, just a hodgepodge of great artists doing this annual. With, of course, George Perez doing like the beginning and the end and the little intermediate spots. So, and then of course we go from there. We go to day 321. World's Finest, Our Worlds at War. This was essentially the epilogue to the Worlds Our Worlds at War event, and I really like this. This was a great idea. Was to have an issue, and it's a thick book. Okay, it's a thick book, but it basically gives you a nice epilogue of what has happened as a result of this war and what has happened to all the characters, such as uh, Wonder Woman's mother has passed, and they honor that through the Justice Society. Uh, so, but then just like I said, it just gives you a nice heads up and gives you a nice epilogue. I mean, even at one point, it gives you an epilogue with Amanda Waller and how Sergeant Rock was he was in this as like a retired U.S. serviceman who was brought back to fight in the war, and how it gives a monologue with Waller going how like if with what he did, I would do anything for him if I'd get him a room full of hookers if that's what we wanted. But that's and it shows the Rock in Arlington Cemetery, and the way they do it kind of was cool because they kind of almost do it like not like High Plains Drift. It kind of like you know what, maybe a little bit like High Plains Drifter. How in the end he kind of just like rides off in like the sun and this and you know how he just kind of disappears. They kind of give that a sense to it where the Rock has served his purpose and now he's going. And like I said, they show it in Arlington Cemetery. So it's like he survived the war once again, but he's all of his brothers that served in World War II and all the wars since then. Uh, they're in Arlington, and he's like paying honor to his fallen brothers while he's not there. So yeah, I had that signed by Mark Morales, Mark Buckingham. In fact, this the very end of February, very beginning of March. There's a show up in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, Penn State. They call it Happy Valley Con, and it's a small show, and Wayne Fosher is going to be there, and I'm going to have Wayne sign this issue, so I'll have his signature added to it. So that's always and that's one thing I'm starting to become even more excited about my collection of signed books. I gotta switch down here. The ink on this nib's just too thick. I gotta empty it out. So anyway, but yeah, he'll be up at the show, and I'm really starting to get excited about now when I go to shows, not necessarily going through and seeing, oh, did they sign this book or this book? I now go through my collection of signed books and be like, okay, well, I've got this signature already, like this book here, World's Finest, Our Worlds at War. Okay, I have the opportunity to get him to sign this book. So I go from a book of having just two signatures to a book of three signatures. And it has nothing to do with the possibility of, oh, well, this book could have more value now because it has more signatures. No, it has to do with, I like this book. And if I have the opportunity to add another signature to it, I will, just as uh, the books that I'm going to have Rubenstein's. There's another show in Grantville, Pennsylvania at the end of March. So at the beginning of March, there's a show, and at the end of the month, there's a show. And it has Joseph Rubenstein going to it. And I've got like the Infinity Gauntlet, #1. I have it signed by George Perez and Jim Starlin. So I want Jose. I want Rubenstein to sign it because I'll have all three of those signatures. Same as the Amazing Spider-Man books when you're transitioning from the black costume to the uh, classic red and blue costume. I'll be getting him to sign those because he did the inks. On top of the fact that it's also one of my favorite eras because there's the issue with he fights the Puma at the very end of it. Mary Jane's like, "I know you're Spider-Man." To that the yellow cover where everybody it's a big deal because he returns back to his yellow and red costume. For me, it's a big. I like that issue because Mary Jane tells her origin story, and how she's like she's trusting Peter because she knows Peter's secret. She's like, hey, this is how much you can trust me. This is my origin story. No one knows this, and how Peter has to like listens to her and understands that. Yeah, you're a woman that guards your secrets very closely. The fact that you're telling me these things that you've never told anybody means that yes, I can trust you. I can trust you with not letting anybody know who I am. So like I said, the opportunity to have Joe Rubenstein sign it, yeah, I'm going to take it. So, but then we go from day 322, World's Finest. I'm sorry, 321, World's Finest, Our Worlds at War, to uh, World's Finest #0 on 322. This is where they're doing the New 52 is how they're tagging it. They'd rebooted the entire line, and the year later, they're like bringing in World's Finest so they could bring in Power Girl and Huntress and explaining how they came from Earth 2 and they're stranded on Earth 1, so they can't. And issue 0 is really good because it shows how like Helena is in a Robin costume and Kara is in a Supergirl costume, but because they're stranded on Earth 1, they can't wear those costumes because that would then Superman and Batman would be like, who are you guys? And they don't want anybody to know who they are, while Kara's trying to figure out a way to get them back, and Helena, both of them, in with their own missions, their goal is to create a device, a super collider device, that'll create a dimensional doorway so they can get back to their world. And so they use that to explain the why they're wearing costumes that aren't indicative of their lineage, if you will. So, got issue 0 here, signed by Paul Levitz and Kevin McGuire. Then, of course, issue 1, which was day 323, signed by Kevin McGuire and Scott Kobilish. And then, of course, we have issue #6, signed by Paul Levitz and Kevin McGuire. And this was one where I liked it because like Huntress and Damian fight, and she reveals to Damian who she is. So Damian knows that in another reality he he has a sister. And for me, when they did the whole Batman and Catwoman are getting married, and I know everybody like how like you say like Batman got cooked at the wedding chapel. I didn't have a problem with the fact that of her leaving him at the chapel because let's be honest, how they're portraying Batman and Catwoman in the comics in this era. Okay, and this is when I say this era, I mean even going back as far as the 80s. A relationship between them just would never work. It's only in the classic era and the classic idealism of comics that Batman and Catwoman married works. So for me, it's like when they did that, they did a whole bunch of one offs or one shots, and in one of those one shots they had where Catwoman was coming back home from the bachelorette party to the mansion. Damian was there, and Damian asks her, Are you and my dad going to have any kids?" And she's like, "No, I don't think." And she goes, "No, I don't have any intention of us having kids." For me, it was one of those where like, that's kind of stupid for him to be saying that when he already knows that if they do get together, that there will be a child and it will be a daughter, and it will be she will eventually take the mantle of the huntress. So for me, that whole interaction with Damien questioning Catwoman, like, "Are you going to be my new mommy? Are you going to have a kid? And I'll be second fiddle because you and Daddy will be having." That was bullshit. That was absolute bullshit because he already knew that stuff. If anything, he already knows that. So it's one of those where it's like, that would be the perfect ideal for Damien to make a change in his mental capacity of how he approaches things and understanding, hey, there's a great possibility if they get together. Even let's say they don't get together. Okay, let's say they were never going to get married, which of course we all know what happened. She leaves him at the altar. Okay, there's still the possibility of Batman and Catwoman having a child out of wedlock, and whether it be shared custody or she hides it from him, but he's Batman, so he always knew and just lets her raise the child. Damien would always know that if it comes about that there is a that they have a child, it will be a daughter. And what's Damien going to do? Is he going to compete for its affection, or is he going to be like, "I am the older brother, therefore I have to be able to protect her and the mentor to my sister"? That would be make it so much more powerful. And again, the biggest problem is that I don't have a problem with the fact that comic book characters are stagnant. That's what makes comic books work. That's the reason why comic books have always worked for so long, is because the characters were stagnant and growth came very slowly. So if you have something where Damon, where uh, let's be honest, Damien's going to be a teenager for like the next 40 years. Okay, I mean, hell, uh, Tim Tim Hunter or Tim Drake, he is still a teenager, and he's been a teenager for the last 35 years. So let's be honest. If she were to have a baby, at most they would have it. They would have it as a toddler for like 20 years, or if they had to, because of running out of story ideas, because that's how these writers are, they would mystically she falls into a well and comes out as a teenager. Again, she'll be a teenager for the next 40 years. Okay, so I would look at it where it's like, if you're going to have Damien where he grows as a character, he would grow more as a protective mentor of being having to be a brother than to uh, satisfy the expectations of his father. So that's how I've always looked at it, and that's the reason why I like this series where he fights his sister before he knows that she is his sister, and then afterwards, if you read it, he does show like, well, I'm going to have a sister, and he does slightly change his way in how he is with his outlook and his how he views Huntress as versus the opposite of how Batman has always viewed Huntress. So I like that idea with, and that's actually much more of the makeup where Damien's going to always look at the Huntress from another parallel dimension as his sister, as opposed to Batman looking at the Huntress as his daughter from a different dimension. So, and then from there we go to the last day of the week. It is day 235, Web of Spider-Man Annual Number 2, signed by Charles Vess and by Art Adams. So again, if you take a look if you go back onto my Twitter feed and you look at this issue, you'll see, partially covered by my thumb, is the barcode. This was one of those books that I bought off the newsstand. I didn't buy it at a comic book store. So that one. So again, this is one of those I look at and go, oh wow, this is when I was first started. I was like, I wasn't buying every single book, but I was buying a smattering of books every once in a while, like you know, out with your parents and stop at a convenience store and go, Mom, can I have this comic book? Yes, you can have that comic book because I know it's going to keep you quiet and you're going to be reading it for the next 20 minutes while we drive. So uh, that's where it's like, and of course also this is an issue. It's Spider-Man, but it also has Warlock from the New Mutants in it. So of course, so it's therefore it's almost like an X adjacent title, and this is back when they they didn't just they didn't broadcast. Oh, this has an X character. No, it's just a story, and you pick it up, and then you discover, oh wow, it's got Warlock in it. Okay, so it was a good story. It was a good, enjoyable one, uh, beginning, middle, and end, and all. So, but yeah, just having that with Warlock, having both signatures, Charles Vess and Art Adams, very happy, very satisfying. So, okay, guys, I'm going to keep working on this, but I'm going to be working on this for a while because I got a little bit done here while I was talking to you guys. So, if you compare this image now to what it looked like when I first started the video, yeah, I got some work accomplished here. So, you all have a great day. Uh, Remember, it is a day to be thankful for your loved ones, just as I'm thankful for Miss Stippling for her understanding, and instead of forcing me to go with her to her family, she respects what I do and she lets me stay here at this local dive bar and working on these commissions. So here's the big thing also is that yeah, I could for me today is a free work day because I have a regular job and I don't do this full time. Having the day off from my regular job so I can work on this, it's a free work day. So I'm going to take a full advantage of it. And that's another reason, the reason why I'm also pushing myself to get this vignetting done. So when I have all this done, I can work on the dog. And as I work on the dog, this background will help me figure out how light to be on this side, how dark to be on this side. And same thing with this guy who I'm not finished drawing him. Let me show you something here. You can see how this image is kind of rough. So I'm having to use, she had to actually send me some other photographs of this dog. So I'm using those photographs plus these images to create the image of the dog. So, but I'm going to get a lot of work done today. So you all have a great day. And remember, everybody, life is stressful. So just take it all one dot at a time.